All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Your Lord, our Master, is your dominant idea, our belief, your conviction. That's your Lord. Suppose you believe a God of love, in a God of love. Supposing that belief is enthroned in your mind, and you really believe it, that's the only presence and power, is dominant, supreme, and you give it all your allegiance and loyalty and devotion, then that is your Lord, it's your Master. Then you'll lead a charmed life. In England, some men believe that every November they're going to get rheumatism. They attribute it to the climate and the change of atmosphere and so on. And of course they do receive it. They have programmed their mind. They expect it. And according to their belief or expectancies, are done unto them. So you have one man in the house, he gets his rheumatism regularly in November. Now his brother, living in the same house, eating the same food, born of the same parents, working the same farm, doesn't get rheumatism at all. He believes in health and long life. Other people believe the night air will give them a cold. Or if someone sneezes in the office, they'll get the sniffles. And according to their belief, is it done unto them. Others in the office do not get the cold or the flu at all. There's some people, with their feet get wet, you know, they say, oh, I'm going to get my death of cold. I'm going to get a chill now. And of course, the water is only H2O. The water never said, I'll give you a cold or the sniffles or anything. It's all belief or negative conditioning. The air is innocuous. The night air is innocuous. It's hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and some other gases. That's harmless. Water is hydrogen and oxygen. Is their belief is the cause of it. Your belief is your Lord and your Master. There be lords many, but there's one Lord, the Father of all, of whom are all things. When a person sneezes in the office, it doesn't mean you're going to catch a cold or there's some germ there that's going to attack you. Others in the office don't get the cold at all, but if you believe that, then you're bringing it on yourself. You may attribute it to germs in the office or the air. Others are immune to it. There's some people sit under a fan all day long. They don't suffer from a draft or get a stiff neck. If you believe you're going to get a stiff neck, the fan is simply molecules moving in space at tremendous velocity, that's all. You've built a law about sneezing or about a fan or about the air, about the water. And then you point to the fan or to the night air or something and say, oh, that you are now ill because of the draft, or you've got a bad cold and bad pain in your neck and so forth. And you point to these things and you say where your belief is corroborated, you know. But others deny that and laugh at it. So you've made a law for yourself because of a Twitter law that anyone sitting under a fan would get a stiff neck. Then everyone in the world sitting under a fan would be subject to that law. But it's not a law at all. It's a law you make for yourself. It's absolutely innocuous, absolutely harmless. Stop making laws for yourself. It's like the person who makes a law that at red rose, he's allergic to a red rose. Well, in talking to him, you find that the girl that he was going with some years ago used to wear a red rose all the time. And she ran off with another man. He has never released her, forgiven her, and his resentment is lurking in his subconscious mind. So when he sees another girl with the red rose, he sizzles. It's not the girl, it's not the rose, it is the poison pocket in his own subconscious. He should have rejoiced and said, you know, I wish for that girl health and happiness and peace. I'm rejoiced that she's found the man of her dreams, and God be with her. Then he would be doing the right thing, and he would be very selfish when he did that, because he'd be blessing himself. For what you wish for another, you see, you're wishing for yourself. Externals have no power except through your own consciousness. So your consciousness is the union of your conscious and subconscious mind. Your conscious mind chooses. The alcoholic, for example, he has repeatedly suggested to himself weakness, inadequacy, inferiority, rejection. And after a while, as he continues to make these negative suggestions and continues to drink to bolster his courage, he's denying the divinity within him, the power of the Almighty within him. And after a while, through repeated negative suggestions, he has lost the choice. Now he takes one drink and he's off to the races. He's a compulsive drinker. He's an inebriate. Before he had choice, he could say, well, I'll take one or two drinks and that's all. Now he hadn't. He's lost that power. For the subconscious is the only power in the world that can say, I will and mean it. And so he's been rejecting the only presence and power. And he's implanted these negative suggestions by repetition into his deeper mind. He can, of course, change it. He's referred to sometimes as a compulsive drinker, or there's also, of course, the compulsive gambler and the compulsive eater and so forth, all based upon negative suggestions repeated over and over again into the deeper mind. He says, I will not drink. He may take an oath on the Bible that he'll never take another drink, but all that's nonsense. It's just a joke and a farce. He's thinking and picturing himself at the bar. Actually, he's writing or engraving the idea of drinking deeper into his subconscious mind, and he's compelled to go out and get drunk. Subconscious mind reacts according to our habitual thinking and imagery. As we sow, we reap. What we impress in our subconscious is expressed. And when we feed the computer in the laboratory with false data, then of course it gives us the wrong answer. We should feed our subconscious mind with life-giving patterns. The alcoholic can do that. He can say to his deeper mind, that is, he must want to give it up, of course, and come to a decision, clear-cut decision. And when he desires to give it up, when his desire to give it up is greater than his desire to continue it, actually he's 75% healed, then the power of the Almighty will back him up and move in his behalf. So he comes to a decision. He claims sobriety and peace of mind are mine now, from now on. I decree this, I mean it, I'm absolutely sincere. It's irrevocable. And then he pictures himself doing what he loves to do. If he's an attorney, for example, who's hit the bottom and who became a panhandler due to alcohol, he's back at court pleading a case for a client. He's behind the polished mahogany desk. He's talking to his client. He makes there, here, in the future now. He's clean-shaven, he's well-dressed, he's talking to the judge, he's back with his family, he's embraced by his daughter and his wife and so forth. He's living the role. And when the desire comes to him, to have a drink, he flashes the movie in his mind, back with his daughter, his wife, back at home or back in the office pleading the case. He is now living that role, and the power of the Almighty backs him up. And as he continues to think of freedom, peace of mind, and sobriety, as he continues to think about it, as he begins to feel the joy and the wonders of it all, and pictures himself home doing the things he loves to do, passes from thought and mood and picture to function and to fact. Like a seed, you see, it dies in the deeper mind and comes forth as the fruit of the answered prayer. So he can overcome it. That's reprogramming his subconscious mind to harmony, to health, sobriety, and peace of mind. And the power of the Almighty will back him up and take away that craving, and he's free. And he forgives himself, of course, for harboring negative thoughts, and he forgives everybody else too. by pouring out love, peace, and goodwill on all those around him. And you always know when you're forgiven, because you can meet the person in your mind and there's no sting there anymore. Why? Because you poured out love and goodwill and harmony and wished for that person all the blessings of life. All of us are here to grow, to learn, to release the imprisoned splendor that is within. We're not born, fully orbed with all our faculties fully developed. Oh no, you're here to learn. You're here to sharpen your mental and spiritual tools and joys in overcoming, joys in mastery. We're in a world of opposites, and we're told, choose ye this day whom you will serve. You're not an animal. You're not an automaton. You have freedom to choose, you have volition, you have initiative. That's the way you discover your divinity. There is no other way under the sun. You're not compelled to be good. You're not governed by instinct only. No, you have the opportunity of becoming a holy man, or anything you want to. I hold before you an open door which no man can shut. Think in whatsoever things are true, lovely, noble, and godlike. You think on these things all day long. You can begin to recondition your mind. You can picture yourself doing what you long to do, because you go where your vision is, and your vision is what you're looking at, what you're thinking about, what you're focused on. And as you continue to focus your attention on that which is lovely and of good report, your deeper mind will respond, and you'll be compelled to move forward in the light. For this almighty power will move in your behalf. You can reiterate some great truths as you drive along the road. You say there's only one power, one present, one call, with boundless love, its infinite intelligence, absolute harmony. It's moving in me, through me, and all around me. You can do this as you drive along the road, at lunch, as walking the streets, or sitting down to dinner. You can do all these wonderful things. You can reiterate, remind yourself of these great truths. Choose the good, choose right action. Yes, and radiate love, peace, and goodwill to everybody. Keep on reiterating these truths, morning, noon, and night. Finally, these truths will sink into your subconscious, for out of the heart are the issues of life. Out of the subconscious will come forth whatever you've impressed upon it. Keep thy heart with all diligence. See to it that nothing but godlike thoughts and ideas enter into your deeper mind. Hear the age-old truth again and again, until it forms a conviction in your subconscious mind. Hear the absolute truth, I am, and there is none else. One power, one presence, one cause, and one substance. When inscribed in your heart, it becomes compulsive, and you'll be compelled to good and to right action. Some are automatically guided. They have the touch of Midas. They've repeated themselves over and over again. Infinite intelligence guides me. Whatever I do will be right. Right action is mine. Morning, noon, and night. They reiterate these truths because there is a principle of right action. There is a principle of guidance. And they're activating it from a universal or infinite standpoint. And some of them, and many of them, do have the touch of Midas. Grace, is the automatic response of your subconscious to your conscious mind thinking and visioning. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Wonderful truth. Marvelous to reiterate that as you drive along the road. A rabbi on a plane some years ago told me that when he was a young boy, all the boys and girls were taught to read and study Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter of Deuteronomy. Very beautiful chapter, by the way. They had to realize that God was one and all-powerful, and they committed many of these verses to memory. Deuteronomy 6, for example. This is what they had to remember. 6th chapter of Deuteronomy. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. Remember, in thine heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thine house, and on thy gates. Thou shalt fear means respect, thou shalt fear the Lord thy God and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. He shall not go after other gods, of the gods of the people which are round about you. For the Lord thy God is a jealous God, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee and destroy thee. For jealousy in the Bible means you mustn't know another power. You must not give allegiance to any created thing. You must only recognize the one power only. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one Lord. Well, the idea behind all this is that a firm conviction was to be placed in their hearts, because they kept repeating it. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God. Love is allegiance and loyalty. And thou shalt know no other God, meaning they give power to the one presence and power. And you refuse to give power to anything in the phenomenalistic world, or to any man, woman, or child, or sun, or moon, or star, or any created thing. The moment you do, you have no God. For I, the Lord, as it tells you, am jealous. Jealous in the sense you don't know another. You just are married to the one. Allegiance to the one. Now, this rabbi explained to me that the mezuzah, for example, is a small case or tube, typically of metal or wood, and with an aperture in front that is traditionally attached by Jews to the doorpost of the home. Oftentimes I lived in the same house as a Jewish doctor friend of mine, and he would always touch this as he opened the door. That contained a piece of parchment inscribed on one side with the verses 4 to 9 of Deuteronomy, which I just read to you. Also the 13th and 21 verses, such as thou shalt say unto thy son, we were Pharaoh's bondsmen in Egypt, and the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. All beautiful verses, by the way. So these verses are written inside of that. On the other side with the word Shaddai, meaning a name for God, the beautiful one, the God of light. And folded in the case or tube so that Shaddai is visible through the aperture. It's over the doorpost, you see. And the phylactery is the Greek word for it, also tefillin, either of two small black leather cubes having leather straps and containing a piece of parchment inscribed with these verses, the 4th to 9, and the 11th and 13th and 21 of the 6th chapter of Deuteronomy. I read some of these verses for you. They're very, very beautiful. You ought to read them. And one cube worn is strapped to the left arm, and the other to the forehead during religious services. And naturally, if you moved your arm, it would remind you, and if you moved your eyes, it would remind you too. Well, of course, people in all walks of life, down through the ages, where in India you get on a plane sometimes and a man comes on with a little Buddha attached to him. Another comes on with some amulet or charm, or they wear Christopher medals or a rosary bead. All these things have no power, of course. The little strap or the phylactery or the tefillin or these things that they wear, the mezuzah, have no power, of course, but it's simply to remind them that they might begin to contemplate the presence of God in their own hearts and the only presence and power. Likewise, Christopher Medal, of course, the late, this present Pope, I think, said he never lived, that man never lived. But people do wear the medal and they think it's going to protect them. Of course, it's only a piece of tin. It has no power. But it's not to be ridiculed, of course, because it does remind people of a higher power, and they may believe in it and all that. So it's a reminder of the truths. But the main thing is to incorporate these truths in the soul, So you don't need a talisman, or an amulet, or a charm, or a Buddha, or a statue, or you don't need a mezuzah, or a phylactery, or any of these things. Because with your thought, you're in communion with God, you see, and you can communicate with it instantaneously, and realize that the Lord is your shepherd, and you shall never want. You can remind yourself, but my God shall supply all your need according to his riches and glory. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Remember, the truths have to be incorporated in your heart, not in your head. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, and so does he express. You must eat the apple before it becomes your bloodstream. Likewise, you have to absorb and digest these truths. And it's not vain repetitions. Do not gain the ear of God. But what you absorb and digest and incorporate into your soul. Therefore, these truths, as they repeat them and begin to dwell upon them, reiterate them and remind yourself, and go within yourself and announce these truths to your mind regularly, gradually, again and again and again and again and again. Gradually you'll begin to believe and become convinced that there's only one power. It'll become a philosophical absolute in your mind, that the I am within you is the only God there is. It's all-powerful, all-wise. It's the lost word. It's lost to millions. It's their mouth, morning, noon, and night. The word is nigh in thy mouth and thy heart, to will and to do. Moses tells you that there's no use going over the sea for it, or going up into the air for it, as the word is nigh in thy mouth and thy heart, to will and to do. Here are some great truths, but my God shall supply all your need according to his riches and glory. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. God who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. But with God all things are possible. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear. According to your faith be it unto thee. If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. All things be ready, if the mind be so. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? I will lift up mine eyes unto the hill, from whence cometh my help. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Here you are told you shall receive that for which you ask. It shall be opened to you when you knock, and you shall find that for which you are searching. This teaching implies the definiteness of mental and spiritual laws. There is always a direct response from infinite intelligence of your subconscious mind to your conscious thinking. Therefore, you can program your subconscious mind constructively, harmoniously, peacefully. If you ask for bread, you will not receive a stone. You must ask believing if you are to receive. Your mind moves from the thought to the thing. Unless there is first an image in the mind, it cannot move, for there would be nothing for it to move. When you come to the Ebell Theatre on Sunday, first is an image in your mind. Of course it is. When you think of your mother, you see your mother in your mind. Your prayer, which is your mental act, must be accepted as an image in your mind before the power from your subconscious will play upon it and make it productive. You must reach a point of acceptance in your mind, an unqualified and undisputed state of agreement. This contemplation should be accompanied by a feeling of joy and restfulness in foreseeing the certain accomplishment of your desire. The sound basis for the art and science of true programming of your subconscious is your knowledge and complete confidence that the movement of your conscious mind will gain a definite response from your subconscious mind, which is one with boundless wisdom and infinite power. The easiest and most obvious way to formulate an idea is to visualize it, to see it in your mind's eye as vividly as if it were alive. You can see with the naked eye only what already exists in the external world. In a similar way, that which you can visualize in your mind's eye already exists in the invisible realms of your mind. Any picture which you have in your mind is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. What you form in your imagination is as real as any part of your body. The idea and the thought are real and will one day appear in your objective world if you're faithful to your mental image. The process of thinking forms impressions in your mind. These impressions in turn become manifested as facts and experiences in your life. The builder visualizes the type of building he wants. He sees it as he desires it to be completed. His imagery and thought processes become a plastic mold from which the building will emerge. A beautiful or an ugly one, a skyscraper or a very low one. His mental imagery is projected as it is drawn on paper. Eventually, the contractor and his workers gather the essential materials, and the building progresses until it stands finished, conforming perfectly to the mental patterns of the architect. You can use the visualization technique, quiet the wheels of your mind, then picture the loved one whole and perfect. And that loved one is telling you the miracle of God has happened. I never felt better in my life. You see the light in the eye, you see your loved one smile. You don't see them in the hospital, but you see them home doing the things they love to do, radiant and happy and free. You build that up in your mind, that would be called prayer. Realize a picture is worth 1,000 words. William James, the father of American psychology, stressed the fact that the subconscious mind will bring to pass any picture held in the mind and backed by faith. Act as though I am, and I will be. Act as though you now are what you long to be. Live the role in your mind. Do it again and again and again. Gradually it'll sink into your deeper mind, and wonders will happen as you pray that way. Let us realize now that we are going to go by the King's highway. We will not turn to the right hand, nor to the left. And your way is God's way, and all God's ways are pleasantness, and all his paths are peace. Place yourself under God's guidance. Realize God is guiding you now. There is right action in your life, and the Holy Spirit goes before you, making straight, joyous, and glorious your way. Your highway from now on is the royal road of the ancients. It's the middle path of Buddha. It's the straight and narrow gate of Jesus. Your highway is the King's highway, for you're a king over all your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Send the messengers of love. They're called God's messengers. What are they? The messengers are God's love, peace, light, and beauty, are going before you today and every day to make straight, beautiful, joyous, and happy your way. Always travel the King's highway, and then you will meet God's messengers of peace and joy wherever you go. Go by the mountain-top road, knowing that with your eyes stayed on God, there is no evil on your pathway. Whilst driving a car, riding on a train, bus, airplane, or on foot, realize God's spell is always around you. It is the invisible armor of God. and you go from point to point freely, joyously, and lovingly. The Spirit of the Lord is upon you, making all roads a highway for your God. And the Lord, He it is that doth go before thee, whithersoever thou goest. Your conviction of God's presence is strong and mighty. Know the spiritual atmosphere in which you dwell goes before you, making straight, beautiful, joyous, and happy and prosperous the way. Realize divine love fills your soul, divine peace floods your mind. And realize God in the midst of you is guiding you now, and the light of God illumines your pathway. Know there's the perfect law of supply and demand, and you're instantly in touch with everything you need. You're divinely guided in all your ways. You're giving of your talents in a wonderful way. It is written, I will bring the blind by a way that they knew not. I will lead them in paths they hath not known. God bless you and keep you. The Lord cause His face to shine upon you. The Lord lifts up His countenance upon you, is gracious unto you, and gives you peace. My peace I leave you, my peace I give you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your hearts be troubled. Be not afraid. Trust in God and do good. Thus shall you walk in the land, and verily you will be fed. Fed with what? With wisdom, truth, and beauty, with harmony, health, and peace. This is why they said, Lord, evermore give me this bread.
Sunrise, sky so bright, dancing in the light. Life's a roller coaster ride. Hands up, just hold on tight. Paint my dreams in pink. Don't overthink. Love is on the brink. Rewind, feel the sin. Heart on fire, can't deny. Feel the beat, reach the shadows in the alley, whispers down the street. Neon signs and broken dreams, empty hearts, mechanical beats. Crumbling towers, concrete cold, lost souls selling what they know. Eyes that shine like broken glass, got no future, got